Alright, continue with our Algebra 1 practice file number 1, number 27, square root of 48. So here we're going to go ahead and try to break this up into 2 and 24. I'm going to break that up into 4 and 6, 2 and 2, 2 and 3. Or you can break that up any way you want. There's a pair of 2's and there's a pair of 2's. So it turns into 2 times those come out. We're left with the 3 that didn't get out, and so our answer is 4 root 3. 28. 28 says 5 times the square root of 80. I'm going to break this one up into 2 and 40, 4 and 10, 2 and 2, 2 and 5. So there's a pair of 2's and there's a pair of 2's. So we're looking at 2 comes out, another 2 comes out, and we're left with a 5. And we had this original 5 out front, right? So this is going to actually equal, coming over here, 20 root 5. 29. 29 says the square root of 8 times the square root of 10. So this is where we can put them underneath the same radical. And so this equals the square root of 8 times the square root of 10. Don't actually multiply because we're going to break these up. Okay, there's a pair of 2's and there's a pair of 2's. So 2 times 2, we're left with a 5, and you're going to realize it's kind of the same as the last problem. 4 root 5. Right. Number 30. The square root of 9 over the square root of 64. So we're going to use our quotient rule for radicals that basically tells us this. And the square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 64 is 8. 31. This is 36 to the 1/2 power, and this is where we use the rule x to the AB. That equals x radical. The bottom number comes out front, top number goes inside. So this is actually equal to the square root of 36, which is just 6. 32. 9 to the 3/2. This is the same rule, right? We just used above, so this turns out to be 9 square root to the 3rd. Okay. Now you could multiply 9 out 3 times, but you could also rewrite this as 9 times 9 times 9. And so you can break all of these up. And you see a pair of 3's, a pair of 3's, and a pair of 3's. So 3 times 3 is 9 times 3, so this turns out to be just 27. 27. 33 is the cube root of 125. So if you break this up, you're basically looking at 5 times 25. You break that up. Now we're looking for triples here, right? Because you see the 3. So that equals 5. Okay. 34. We're looking at 1 over the square root of 3. Here you have to rationalize the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by the radical in the bottom, the top and bottom. And this equals the square root of 3. And remember, radical times the exact same radical is just a number underneath. 34. 35. Is 9 over the square root of 3. You cannot reduce those. So I'm going to multiply by the square root of 3 over the square root of 3. And this equals 9 square root of 3 because you're just multiplying them all over 3. Now you can see here that these can actually reduce. So you take a 3 out of both of those and it leaves you with just 3 root 3. 36 is the square root of 7 all over the square root of 2. And so now I need to multiply by the radical in the bottom to the top and bottom to rationalize it. And these go underneath the same radical all over 2. That's all we can do. You can't break 14 up and find any pairs. 37 is the square root of 12 over the square over y to the 5th. So I'm going to break this up. And 12, I'm going to break this up into the numbers and the variables first. And so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And over here we got 3 times 4 and then 2 times 2. So you can see that a pair of 2's come out, and we have 2 sets of y's come out. So a 2 and a y comes out twice, or 2 y's. So we're looking at 2 times y times y. Underneath we're left with a 3, and one of the y's did not come out. So this equals 2y squared times the cube square root of 3y. 38. Says 6 times the cube root of 3 plus 3 times the cube root of 3. So now we're adding. To add radicals, you have to have the same radical, so we do. It's just like combining like terms. So this turns into 9 root 3. 39. 39 is, you have 5 square root of 7 minus the square root of 7. Now think of this as 1 square root of 7, so you have common radicals, so you subtract 5 minus 1, and this equals 4 root 7. 4 root 7. Alright, on to number 40. Number 40 says 3 square root of 18 plus square root of 2. And looking at something like this, these radicals don't match, so my only hope is to simplify this one and see what happens. So a 3 comes out, it gets multiplied by the 3 out front, so that's going to be 3 times 3. I'm left with the 2 plus root 2. To simplify a little bit, think of that as 1 root 2, so this equals 10 root 2, and I actually can add them together. 41, and this turns into 2 root 3. Okay. Quantity squared. The easiest thing to do here is to just rewrite this as 2 of these. Okay. And it turns into 2 times root 3 times root 3. So this times this is 4. Alright. This one times this one, those are identical. That just turns into the number underneath, so the answer is actually 12. Alright, we'll go ahead and stop there.